and welcome to Schmidy's guide on creating a solo build as you level in Secret World Legends. In this video I'm going to be going over some overarching basics so that even if you're not running the same weapon loadout as I am, you will still gain valuable information from this guide. So let's run right into it. The first thing we're actually going to do is check our equipment. Make sure that all the talismans you are running right now are attack rating, attack rating, attack rating. And also try to get at least luminous on each of your slots, and if you happen to get a radiant, then put that on because that makes a difference in the talisman slot. Unlike in the weapon slot, where regardless of the marked level of the weapon, it's always going to give you the same weapon power, and none of the suffixes are incredible enough to be caring about at this point in time. So just grab the weapons that you originally had and level them up. Now we're going to run into the skills here, and we're going to start with some Chaos actives, because Chaos is my primary. So my basic ability, my non-energy consuming ability, I like to be an AoE. This is because if you critical hit with a weapon in Secret World Legends, it will give you 1 extra energy on the weapon that caused the critical hit, and you're only going to be using this basic ability when you're out of energy. So if you're hitting 3 things with Turmoil, you've got a much higher chance of getting a critical and gaining an extra energy off of it than if you're only hitting 1 target. Then I like to run an AoE power ability that consumes energy and a single target power ability that consumes energy here on my main weapon. So that way I can just use the correct one in the correct instance. If I've got 1 big enemy, I can use the single target. If I've got a bunch of small enemies, I can use the point-blank AoE here. Then as far as using the one that costs 5 energy versus 3 energy, it doesn't really matter. You'll see that I'm running 5 for my AoE and 3 for my for my single target, and that is just because they generate high hate, and I've been using them to tank dungeons. Next, you want to grab whatever this elite is, whatever the top elite is in your skill bar. They are all really good for leveling up. I think that Pandemonium happens to be the best for leveling up in the game, which is why I'm using it. It takes everything within 7 meters and drags it over to me, does substantial damage to it, and keeps it knocked down for 3 seconds. So it stops me from having to chase after stuff because it brings it all into my melee range. It stops me from taking damage for 3 seconds because things are knocked down, and it allows me to just go wild for 3 seconds, do whatever I can to finish off an opponent. Then for the secondaries, I like to bring a single target consumer, because most of the time between Pandemonium and Winds of Change, all the small stuff that there's going to be a bunch of in mobs is already taken care of. So the only thing that's going to be left is that 1 or 2 mobs that actually have a bunch of health. So if you happen to aggro a champion or just one of the really big creatures in the area, I like to have the secondary be a single target. And then the final skill is just kind of your flexible skill. I have Seethe here because it's really strong with hammers, but you can use pretty much any cooldown here. I would suggest it being a cooldown or being a AoE consumer in the event that you would like to have a single target and an AoE consumer for your secondary. Whatever works for your build. Then our passive skills. So this is where it gets a little silly. So first thing I would suggest is getting whatever your first skill is for your main hand weapon that you'll be using more often, because having something that heals you up a little bit is helpful, and you just get this for free. This is given to you during the tutorial, so there's no extra effort required to get that and put it on your bar. Should be all the healing you ever need. Then we have Paradox Control, which is for Schism, which you will notice up here is not even on our bar. And there's a reason for that. We'll get to it in a second. Then we have Resonance Cascade. So this is an example of a skill that requires very low SP commitment and is really strong. So I grabbed that right away. And you'll have to look into the skills for your own weapon and decide if there's one in the first 2 skills that's really strong for you. But if it's there, I would suggest grabbing it. Then again, I've got Shatter, which is for Razor Shards, which is not on my bar. Both of these are just because I originally started off with them, because the game started me off with them, and as I gained more AP and was able to access more skills, I got rid of them. but I haven't replaced their skills yet because I've been prioritizing something else. I've been prioritizing hit rating. So Outrage is an example of a skill that is on the way to hit rating. It also just happens to be really strong, but it's another reason why I am running Seethe right now, is because I was able to get Outrage early and make Seethe more powerful. So basically, aside from grabbing a couple of easy skills, I would highly suggest just going straight for hit rating. And you'll notice I went to hit rating here. I went all the way down this line. We don't have any of the skills on this line at all on our bar, but we went all the way over here just to get this hit rating. And we're doing the same thing in Chaos. You'll see we got hit rating here. We're working towards hit rating here. We grabbed this one. And that's all I'm doing is going for hit rating because it is that important. If you have a double heal rating or a double heal weapon class, you will not be able to do this because you do not have any hit rating in your passives. So if you are running, say, Blood, for example, you see we have no little reticles anywhere. There's a couple options you have. The first one I would say is just go for whatever passives line up with the skills you happen to be using. So if you're using Rupture, grab Blood Flow and so on. After that, there's two options. You can either try to go for all the attack rating and crit rating on the page, or what I would suggest, I know, but it's just that important, is to unlock a passive page from either a DPS or tank weapon so that you can start slamming all your SP into getting more hit rating. Because if you are glancing and getting evaded all the time, you are leaving a ton of damage on the table. So the quicker you get enough hit rating that you're not seeing glance, 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 glance all the time, the quicker you will start leveling at the same speed as everyone else. So that is what I would suggest for you for passives, is just go for hit rating once you've grabbed a couple of your initial passive skills. And we'll just sort of show you how it works here. So you'll see there's a bunch of little guys and a champion here. So I'm going to use my AoE and my elite. So you'll see that all the little guys are already taken care of, which is why I like to have a single target attack here. So it makes it so that when I am attacking with my secondary, the one thing that's left I'm doing optimal damage to, right? Instead of using Razor Shards there, which would have been AoE, I am using Demolish to hit the one thing that survived my initial onslaught with single target damage. And that tends to be how it works, which is why I have a single target secondary and then just whatever else happens to fit instead of a AoE secondary and whatever happens to fit. I hope this helps you to make a more effective leveling build, and I'll be seeing you in a couple other videos that I'll be making as we run along here. Hope to see you there.